more the solution. So I can see that you have many participants already that are in, approximately 26, 27. In 2-3 minutes, I think you will start.
I don't like about this. You have to charge it in.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? Can you hear me?
Morning.
Yes.
Morning, David.
Morning, David.
Morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys too.
Did you have a good weekend? Had a good weekend. Sayed had a good weekend.
Yes.
Sayed is smiling, so he had a very good weekend. Isaac, good morning. So while we are waiting for the rest, we have 38 people, so still a few of them to join. So maybe we will wait a couple of minutes. But you know, it would be good because it's Monday, and after these 2 days, maybe we have flow energy, so we have to start being active for the session. I will really love to see your cameras and see you that we are saying good morning to each other like if we were in the class, because this is so impersonal sometimes. Hey, good morning. Good morning, Harriet. How are you?
Good morning, David.
Good morning. Don't worry, just let's create a bit of mess while everybody's connecting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Morning.
Stefan.
Good morning.
Well.
Good afternoon.
Good morning, teacher.
And good afternoon, fast. Okay, good morning. Isa too, good morning.
Good morning, all.
Good to see you, right?
Good morning.
Good morning,
Okay.
David.
Okay, Awati, good to
Good
see your
morning.
face as well. Good morning. Herbert, you have a very nice background. I hope it's not real that you are. What is that?
I wish it's real.
You see, in my case, they don't allow me to put this nice background. I can only have like an office, very serious background. Okay, George, good to see you as well. Good morning, Lydia. So yeah, I think we are about to start, right? 45 people. So I'm going to start sharing my screen to see if you can confirm that. So it was good to see you and to start the class in a different way. So let me see if you can share, if you can see my screen. You please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we see it.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Yes.
So good. So what we are going to do today, right? Before we start, we're going to have a small summary again, and we have another video that was prepared by Atreyi from UNISQ. She's part of the UCS team, and we have a short video that is a summary of the historical data. Okay, so of the historical data templates. I'm going to share it. It is only 3 minutes. And after that, or even before, let me just go 1 second to this slide. If you remember what we did last week, and this is a slide that Valentina prepared as a summary, we started talking about the full business process and how gross demand is formulated. And we started with a navigation exercise, and then we saw the historical data template, right? It was there where we can see all the historical consumption and then see how we can adjust it. Also, Valentina was explaining how the system classifies the historical consumption, and then when we could have like continuous or with trend or seasonal consumption history or intermittent, this type of things. And then on Friday, if I remember well, we also saw the automatic data cleansing process that the system is doing before it can actually prepare the forecast. So if you remember, I know it looked like a long time ago, but it's only last week. So we saw together historical data, classification, and the auto cleansing. Of course, I think all these concepts will be better absorbed and understood once you complete the exercises. And for that, we understand that it is very challenging to do it like distance, and we are trying. I think we have been very active trying to support the people that are facing issues, but we will continue doing it. And also, we are allocating some extra time for next week that maybe Siri will like to explain later to support the practice, to make sure that we are not leaving anybody behind. So so yes, as I was saying, we have historical data that we saw together, classification and data cleansing. And the idea for today is to review segmentation and a statistical forecast. Right, Valentina? You are there?
That's correct, yeah.
Right. So before actually going to the presentation, I would like to do a few things. One thing is this video that it serves as a refresh for historical data. And then I'm going to ask you something else before we start. So if I may play the video, and then if you can confirm if you can see it. 1 second. I know I stopped sharing the screen because I need to open it first. It should be here. Yeah, this is the video. Now I'm going to share a screen and sharing the audio as well. So 1 moment. It should be here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I'm going to play the video, and then if you have any pending question from last week, we can also comment that. Right? So 3, 2, 1, play.
Hello. In this video, we'll be explaining historical data and the importance of adjusting it. So what is historical data? Historical data is an input for demand calculation. Let's have a look. In the UN context, historical data is primarily consumption data. It is also sales data for entities that carry out sales. So why is historical data important? A statistical forecast is only as good as its historical data. Historical data is an important baseline for demand forecast and is an input for demand calculation. Can historical data be adjusted? Yes. Data adjustments should be made in the planning system. This will not affect the transactional system. Adjusting data to create a better baseline for forecasting is actually considered best practice for effective demand planning. Now let's look at different situations where historical data requires adjustment.
So maybe I want to stop it here so you can read. This is one of the typical examples where the data might need adjustment, right? So we are saying that events that are not reoccurring as one time, such as weather-related security, medical emergencies, etc., they should be removed from the historical data to remove noise from the data. Well, that is something that it would be also good to discuss in the following days. So this is if it's more applicable to you or not. Okay, but the idea, the whole idea is that the historical data that would be useful to generate forecasts should not have noise as much as possible. So if you find, as a planners, using your professional judgment, any event that created a big, let's say, distortion on the historical data, you might want to adjust that, or maybe you will need to adjust the forecast later. The second one is a simpler example that we saw last week, right? When the posting in the system was incorrect, then use planner, you want to do it properly, so you might need to adjust.
How can historical data be adjusted?
So this is again what we saw last week together with Valentina. We are just doing a recap, no? So it comes back to your mind. So start data cleansing from most recent history and then work backwards. So data cleanse, okay. Then use the planning node functionality. That is something that we mentioned in the demonstration, and you also have in the exercise how to add planning nodes. And of course, if you had any issue adding nodes, just let us know. All right. And then once you do the adjustments, when you are going to save your data, you will notice probably that you have this pop-up coming up where you have to enter the reason codes, like to justify the reason for the adjustments. Segmentation concept is something that we're going to see with Valentina, I think, today. Right? But it's also visible. But so once we will, let's say, learn it, how the system does it, how the solution does it, this is also applicable to historical data, right? So this ABC classification, we'll see later.
Hope you found this video useful. Please visit moja.un.org for more information.
Anyway, this was only a different way to start thinking again on demand planning. So there are two more things I want to mention. Cyril, are you there? And how? Himanshu is also here. So maybe you want to, before we start, you want to mention something about the possible change of the agenda for next week, Himanshu, Cyril?
Hey,
Good morning. I will let him
good
mention.
morning. Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. Yes, so partial announcement that we will extend this session to the coming week. Sorry, I have a lot of background. It's just probably my own. Sorry, I was just getting a lot of feedback back. So couldn't hear. We will be extending this. It is evident that we need a bit more time so that we can go on proper pace and can spend enough time on some exercises and some key points, and maybe have a time to revisit some of the topics that we would have gone through. We will share the agenda before end of the day today. We will also formally inform the entities and the head of entities so that we can request the time that is additionally needed. We will maintain the same sort of schedule, 2 hours per day, and add another 3 or 4 days, including dedicated time for assessment, so that you can focus on doing, which is obviously mandatory and required for clearing the training. So you could do your assessment in a very dedicated time. But at this point, that's all I want to say. Let's get going, and we will communicate after in terms of what would be the right and suitable time to do this thing and how we're going to add these 5 days. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Himanshu. Cyril, may I continue? You want to ask something? Okay. So, all right, so this was regarding, because I mean, basically the idea is that we want, apart from the presentations and the nice discussion that we're having to, let's say, to have a common understanding of all the concepts, practice is very important. So on the sessions, because the duration is 2 hours, we are not being able to, let's say, to assist you, all of you at the same time. So we are sending you the exercises, and we are, let's say, supporting you. Not offline, but after the session. but we understand that we might need more time for practicing. And on that sense, I would like to ask you, how are you doing with the exercises? At the beginning, the first day was very difficult because of the latency as well, and also some of the issues with the methodology that we were using in the exercises. But how are you doing right now? I would like to know, some of you might have completed all of them, some others not. Some of you are maybe undergoing still doing the data cleansing exercise, but I would like to know if everybody has completed at least historical data exercise. If you have not completed historical data exercise yet for any reason, especially if it's you are facing challenges with the way of the system works, or because you have technical issues, please send us an email. Right? If right now you have not been able to complete historical data, send us an email, and one of the trainers will be contacting you, and we will go through it together, as if we were in the class. All right? Just send us an email, copy Cyril, Valentina, and myself, and we will go through it. All right? Now, before we start with segmentation and forecasts, is there any question about what we saw last week? Anything that you might want to discuss? I saw a question from a comment from Eleanor. Right?
Yes, I think I've been responding to her. She's asking how to save, but I will respond to her separately. But George also is asking if you have a template of on the material you need. So I think referring more to the equipment, so you will see it also, George. So
exactly. All right. So then if there are not additional questions, it's very important now that we already are advancing quite a bit. It's better not to accumulate exercises pending, right? So please, let me see one more time. If you're facing issues completing the exercises, send us a message either by email or either through Teams, and we will be assisting you in the afternoons or in the morning. We will find your best time, and we will go through the exercise together, right? We have enough trainings to do that. But I think some of you are advancing well because I've seen the type of questions, so I'm confident that we are starting to get the proper speed. All right. So Valentina, I think having said that, it would be a good moment to start the nice presentation that you have built, and then we'll see how we advance with the concept. Over to you.
All right. Okay. So let me share my screen and put this in presentation mode. Okay. So everybody can see, right? Okay.
Yes.
Right. So as anticipated by David, today's presentation will be on the segmentation and statistical forecast. Okay, we are by now very familiar with this slide, and we came so far so we closed the week with the data cleansing. Now the next subject will be the segmentation, and finally the statistical forecast. So we know that will not be completing the demand planning. Will go on with the entity priority project demand and the additional demand. Now, sorry, I went too fast. Now, last week, very quickly, I'm going to just summarize. Last week, we saw this part of that of the process. So the historical data process, where we analyze and adjust the consumption history coming from the module production. Its output is a final history that serves as base for the system, for the solution to run a classification of the data. We talk about time series, so the series of data points, the one that we see in the template, listed in time order. So the classification, we saw the what he does, he look at this data, starting to analyzing and starting to see if there is an underlying cause, a trend, a reason why the data behave in the way they are presented in the template. After the classification, we saw the system run the data cleansing, which is basically a preparation of the data to be used as a forecast. We saw that basically it's two activity. One, the system looks for gaps, so not value, and an outliner, so value that differ significantly from the average of the value in the same series. Now, we saw that the result of this data cleansing is a cleanse history. It's important to remember that this process is applicable only to data that are classified as continuous with trend and seasonality. The reason is that intermittent data, the one also we saw as a result of the classification, are not, the forecast needs to be generated in a different way because otherwise it will not be accurate because of the number of zero in the data points. Now, today, we're starting to see what happened to the cleanse history, what it does. We know that already is input for the statistical forecast. However, there is a very important thing to see before. This is something that the system runs just with the input of run the job, in the sense that there is not active role from the planner in this process. At the segmentation, we will see it's very important and helps in a very important way the generation of the statistical forecast, but it's just a help for the planner in his job. So we will see what it's about, and then the output of the statistical forecast will be a final statistical forecast, which is, we know already, is the first element of the gross demand. Tomorrow we will see the entity priority project demand, so the demand coming from the requirement related to entity omission projects, and later on we will see again the equipment demand, so the equipment replacement, which is part of the additional demand, which is also the demand coming from new product or product without historical data. So before I start, I just want to again reinforce a concept of what is a statistical forecast. The forecast is an estimation, is a prediction that is based on, as the video that we saw earlier, it based on the data or a baseline. Our baseline is coming from Umoja production, so it's reliable, and however the forecast accuracy it's depend on other factors that not necessarily depend on how good is the data, not only that how good are the data that we put in ECC, but depend on other factors. And we'll see now how the system generated this forecast. So what you want to have is an accurate prediction of what you need. One second. Okay, so we start with the segmentation. The segmentation, it's we just start from considering that all goods and services have their own demand particularity or characteristics. We saw that in the classification, but this is not limited to that. So the goods and services are different also in other elements that we are going to see in shortly. So if we we keep in mind that all goods and services behave differently, the demand behave differently, then we can certainly say that demand for some products should be forecast in priority. And in this sense, several factors matters, what I was saying before. So our baseline is very good, it's coming from ECC, it's very accurate, but which are the other factors that might play a role in how accurate is going to be our forecast? So just sit a little bit on these two things. So all the goods are, not all goods and services are equal, are the same. So some are more important than others. That's what with the product segmentation is going to tell us. It prioritizes product based on their relative importance within a commodity. So what makes important a product rather than other? Definitely how much we consume the product, and because if we consume the product a lot, means that we spend a lot on that product. So that is the concept where that is base for the product segmentation. So again, what it does is telling us which product we should forecast first. So the product segmentation is based on two analyses. One is very simple to remember because one ABC and the other is Y, X, Z. So ABC is a concept that has a name, actually is called Pareto rule, that a small percentage of a group of product accounts for the largest fraction of impact value. You're going to understand very quickly what it means by reading the second little paragraph, which means that if you apply this concept to an inventory, it means that 20% of the inventory items, it actually represent 80% of the inventory value. So you have your important items. The ABC principle states that effort and money can be saved applying looser control to low dollar volume class item and focus on the high dollar volume class item. So what we are saying here is that the concept of prioritizing the forecast is sitting right here. So in an ABC classification, allow me to use again this word. Please don't get confused with the classification of the consumption history. Is that an item with a label A is definitely more important than B and C. So I say at the beginning, there are other factors to consider in the segmentation that might affect the forecast. This is the demand characteristic. We will see now the volatility and supply characteristic, so how difficult or how costly or how available is to actually gather this product, obtain this product. Supply this product, this is the word, or internal organization characteristics. Some items might be strategic, critical, or simply wanted for a business point of view. Now, how is this segmentation is done? As I say, that as anticipated, you already understood that an I impact, which means I quantity, therefore value, is A. It normally the 70% of the total population of the product, and moderate is B, and it holds the 20%, and low quality value is C, and it holds only the 10%. Let me go to the next. So I don't know if I should stop here or just finish the segmentation with the following analysis of X, Y, Z, or if there are questions now, I should stop now, or if anybody wants to add anything.
Yes, Valentina. Oh, thank you, David. You wanted to take. Okay, David, I will leave you the floor so you can.
Okay,
Go ahead.
No, Cyril, go ahead. I was replying Valentina. That was a good moment to see if ABC segmentation is fine. Valentina, I think you're not sharing your camera, by the way.
I'm not on. I mean, do you see my screen?
Yeah, your screen, yes, but your camera not. Okay, Cyril, over to you.
So exactly, there's a question here. Maybe Elizabeth, this is a good point for Valentina to re-explain, because you're already there. How to elaborate a little bit more on the prioritization of the forecast. So I believe Elizabeth wants to understand how the ABC fits in with the prioritization.
How it fits, sorry, in the statistical forecast or in the segmentation?
How the segmentation and the prioritization of forecast fit. So I think, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So let me go here. The segmentation is a pre-process step that is run by the system. Is going to tell the planner, if I understood well the question, which forecast it should be prioritized. I imagine you have in your portfolio, you might have lots of demand planning to formulate it, and it's just it's a time and eventually resource saver, in the sense that you should, in your planning, forecast first for important item and leaving and sequentially taking care of item less important. The Pareto rule is applying to the inventory, which is what applied to us. It's just telling you that a small number of product might be accountable for 80% of your spending, for example, or the value. So they are just the one that you are consuming the most, and so the one that so in this sense, it should be prioritized over some product that holds only the 10% or the 20% of the total. I don't know if David wants to add something, or I will ask straight Elizabeth if I answer to her question.
It's clear. I believe it's maybe David wanted to say the same thing. In fact, Elizabeth wanted maybe it's a type of sentencing issue, because she mentioned about prioritizing forecast, right?
Yeah,
I think that you are referring to item rather.
But
prioritization forecast.
Yeah, I think Valentina, what you reply is, by the way, is someone sharing screen? I said too. Are you sharing your screen?
I somehow.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, Valentina, what you said is exactly, but let me just say it in a different way as well, but it's basically what you said. So ABC segmentation, it's a powerful feature of this solution. Why? Because without any prior analysis, the solution will classify all your products within a commodity, right, per order of importance. So they will be classified as A, B, or C. Why is this helpful? Because when you start doing your demand planning, you want to start from A. You will start from A products. Why? Because they are the most important in terms of consumption. So you have a long list of products you want to prioritize, and then start from the products that are more important for you, basically. And that is what the solution is giving to you. And you don't have to, if you get a list of 400 product IDs, how would you do it right now? You know the ones that are more important, right, out of your, like, let's say, of experience. But then some products might be changing, etc. So this ABC, it's fitting into the prioritization, because it will show in the template, and you will be able to start. You might sort. You will be able to start from A product. You might filter. You will start from A products, and then you will go to B, and then you will go to C. All right. So basically, Valentina, as you saw, I'll just say what the same as you said. So I think the question was replied. So over to you, and I think we can go for the X, Y, Z as well.
Yeah, I don't know what you don't see my screen, do you?
No, you have to share screen now.
Yeah, but okay. All right, okay. Okay, let me go back to this. I don't know if you remember when in one of the demo, one of the attribute was the ABC code. And I remember in the demo, okay, that was quite a long time ago now. And in the template, we showed the ABC next to there was one of the attributes. So for each product ID, it would say, okay, this is an A product, a B product, and C product. So that's what will be the information displayed, for you to use. Okay, the second analysis is the volatility. So the volatility is just a change, a variation in the demand. And the product segmentation, the second analysis, after it decides, tells you which items, which product is A, B, or C, running this analysis, it's gonna basically look at how difficult it is to forecast the demand of a particular product. So being X the easiest and the Z the most difficult. It does that using a formula that I'm putting here just for your information. From now on, we are going to have some math, statistics, in this presentation. It can be much deeper. It can go much deeper. If you are interested, we can share. Otherwise, the basic information are going to be displayed in the next slide. So applying a formula to the data that he has, it's very simple. He calculates the average demand. He calculates the standard deviation, so how much each data point differ from the average, and then putting the two in relation, each times 100, just to have a percentage, he calculates a coefficient of variation. So obviously, the higher is the coefficient, the most difficult is the demand, the forecast. It can be less accurate, so it's more difficult to forecast this product. They have a coefficient of variation high. Now, the analysis, the ABC, X, Y, Z analysis, it just put the two together. So we have the quantity and value. So they have A, B, C items, and here we have the volatility of these. So how much change, how fast change a demand of this product. Now, to put in, this is the result. So the result is that you should prioritize the forecast of the A product. So those products, they have high volume. We know that, otherwise that's what it makes them category A. And X, you see, they have low volatility. So this is should be very easy to make a forecast of this product. And then the A with trend and seasonal demand. So demand that actually change, sporadic demand will be the most difficult. Then you should prioritize the medium, so the B, that they have a medium impact and they have, you see, low volatility or increasingly high volatility. And the last one, it would be the C. This is basically what the segmentation is all about. I don't know if I should stop here. There is just a final, a couple of final things to say, that just summarizing that the plan should be primarily focused on the demand of class A. And because due to the consumption volume of this product, all the high quantity value of the total spending that we see at the beginning, and the demand planning of product of class B and C should be subsequently addressed. So that's exactly what a representation of what it just I just say. So I think there are other questions about the segmentation. Otherwise, we go to the statistical forecast.
Okay, Valentina.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, we have, before we jump, I think now Siri will tell us if there are questions or not. But before we address the questions and before we move to the statistical forecast, we have the luxury of having ISA2 and Casper connected, right? That have been working in the solution. And ISA2 actually, I think, want to make a couple of notes, and also Casper. So I will first give the floor to ISA2.
Yeah.
If you can please share your camera, ISA2, so they see you.
Stop sharing, right? Sharing.
Yes, you can stop sharing.
Right. Sure.
Okay. So ISA2.
Yeah.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I just would like to add just like one comment on ABC and XYZ. So for ABC, like you mentioned, it's Pareto. It's simple Pareto that we are doing in the system, which will group the monthly one. Like if you have 24 months, it will group. It will add all the 24 months. It will sort and it will accumulate. So it's the simple Pareto that we're using in the system. And then we will use for the ABC, the clean historical data, the one that was cleaned manually by the system. And for XYZ, it's just like calculating the variability. So we're using the unclean historical data. It means the raw historical data. So you will see when David will present the system that it has different purpose, ABC and XYZ, and it has different input that we're taking from the system. One which is clean one, and one which is the raw data has, we want to use the coefficient of variation. Thank you.
Thank you, ISA2. And actually, yeah, we'll see that later. So thank you for the note as well. And we have Casper, who wanted to make a point, because as Valentina explained, ABC is used as a basis for to prioritize the planning. But there are some products that might be strategic, or they might be very important for the mission, independently of their historical consumption, right? And Casper wanted to make a point. Casper, could you share your video as well? So,
okay, it should be. Is it not visible?
I don't. No. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Great. So I just wanted to add to the presentation. So in the presentation, you've seen that there are 3 characteristics to the ABC segmentation. One is driven by demand, one is driven by supply or constraints, and one is driven by strategy. Now the DPSMP solution, it will only focus on the first driver, so the first characteristic, which is demand, as also explained by Isata. So the system will take this demand, so the numbers, the volume, and then apply the Pareto rules. And the other elements, so the other characteristics, supply, constraints, or strategy, those of course come from the planner insight. And this planner insight can then be used to overwrite the selection that is done based on the volume, so on the first characteristic. This is something that David will come to when he will go into the system, where he will show you that you can also make your own judgment to a product to classify it. I think this is very important to understand, to have this in the back of your head, that it's the system is driven based on volume, but you can also override based on your understanding of the plan. That was the point I wanted to add. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Casper. Thank you. Cyril?
Thank you, Casper and Isatu, for your input. Maybe also something that we'll need to clarify, coming from a question here. If you will be able to enter in the group A classification also service.
Yeah.
And then the classification is also, just to clarify, maybe Casper's as well and Isatu, is based on the value only, right?
Correct. So by system, it is based on volume, let's say, and service come as a value, so that's based on value. But in same to just material products, you can make an override in the system to classify it based on your planner insight. Yes.
Okay. So I think that answers your question, Elizabeth, right?
Yes, thank you very much.
So good, David and Valentina, maybe you can continue. Proceed.
Okay. Okay. So we go back to the second to the presentation, and so we are at the statistical forecast. So so we are here. The segmentation is run by the system, and the following process will be the statistical forecast. So let's see first of all what is again what is going to happen now. The solution is going to organize, well, it's already done that, interpret and analyze historical data, so the cleans historical data to predict the future demand for a product or product group. So that's what this template will do. You can notice with David will go through this in a little bit. So you see there are some strange words in this key figure, and I am going to go through that in a little while. So I might go back to this. Might need to go back to this slide to make the presentation more clear. Okay, so for now we just go ahead and say again that the statistical forecast is a process of making prediction of the future based on the past, and it does that mainly analyzing the trends of the data that serves as baseline. So we know that already. We just repeating this for you not to forget. And so we just say that the specific template and that the process is just organizing and analyzing this data, so the time series, and it will allow to, in our case, to predict the future demand for a product of the product group to which the historical data refers to. The time series analysis, that's what is the forecast, the statistical forecast process does. And we know that already. So it look at the collection of the value observed sequentially, so organized by time over the time, and it performs time-based prediction. He assumed that past data pattern, such as trend, seasonality, repeat themselves in the future. That's actually the base of the statistical forecast. That's why it's important the classification, which it looks for this trend, for this pattern, and assuming that with a reasonably error, this path repeat over the time. And so, therefore, also in the future. Now we are going to enter the strange world of mathematics, and I hope all of you love that. There is not much, but there is enough to explain. As I said before, this can be really deep, and if you are interested, please contact us, and I will be happy to share more slides and explain how the process works. Okay, so how the forecast is calculating. So we know that we have some numbers. So numbers are for formulas. So the forecast algorithm, which is a fancy word for formula, mathematical formula, it takes this number, it put in a way it makes sense, and for explain, and the result of this formula, it will explain what these data are used for. What I'm trying to say is that this is a very poor mathematical process. So we have this data. The data are not treated they are treated separately, in the sense that we are going to see now that we have a different formula for different kind of data that behave differently. So we have a formula that explain behavior and formula that explain other behaviors. The different formula formula depend on the type of the data. So the solution is use, these are the name of the formula, a simple exponential smoothing for constant model, a double for the trend, a triple for the seasonal, and a Croston method for intermittent model. That's just to say, just to say that not one formula can be used for all the data, but different data and behavior require different formula. So we're going to see this is actually a visualization of what the statistical forecast process is. So the clean history is the input for the statistical forecast. The process run to apply to analysis, to formula to the data, the Croston for the intermittent demand, and the exponential smoothing for the continuous demand. And depending if we have trend, we don't have trend, or we have seasonality, depending on the behavior, we use it will use the single, the double, or the triple. The result of these two measures will be resulting exactly in a statistical forecast best fit. What this means that the system will have two results, right? It will have the result from the Croston, and it will have the result from exponential smoothing, and it will pick up the one, so the final will be the one that has the lowest error. We are going to see what that means. And this is the time that Casper was and David were referring to. This is the time for the planner to adjust this forecast, which is, the result of a poor mathematical process. So it cannot be perfect. And so you might adjust that because based on, as mentioned, is based on the fact that some input that you are aware of, and you have to, so you need to adjust the forecast. So if not, the final will be the final forecast. I think I put here, but I don't see it. Well, okay, I will show you at the end the screenshot where you can see the line where the planner can adjust the forecast. So just mention very few things about these algorithms that are used in the statistical forecast. The single exponential smoothing is used to calculate the forecast when data are classified as continuous, and this is very simple. The exponential smoothing algorithm use, when it's not single, use a parameter called alpha. And this parameter in the formula gives more importance to the most recent data. And so the most recent data will influence more the forecast. So that's the base concept on which this algorithm is based. The double exponential smoothing is used for forecast. They are classified continuous and continuous wind trend, and the tribal it will be used for seasonality and seasonality and continuous wind trend. Now, so both. How? So why it's called double, and triple, and single? It's only because the parameter is used to smooth the noise that can be created by the trend or by the seasonality. That's why you don't use the single for all of them, because that it will not be smooth and the forecast will be affected by this particularity of the demand. So, well, this is an example of a continuous with trend. It actually has also season, this graph. Now, besides the name, this is a very simple concept. We are not going to go through the complex of the math, but we could, but we are not. The Croston is for the intermittent demand. Remember, the intermittent demand is that demand that has the characteristic to all many zero in its time series. So the zero are not obviously a good thing for the forecast, and that's why Croston, with real person, came up with this formula. So the time series are classified as intermittent when a product experiences several periods of zero demand. We just say it's also say sporadic demand. In this case, the best algorithm to use is Croston. This is a graphic representation of the sporadic demand, when you can see from February to April I have zero, and then in May I have a demand. So I have a data point, and then I don't have data point in July, in August, and then in September it picks up again. So this is the intermittent demand. So once that you see, I spare you with all the formula because I'm already at the end. So I'll calculating the statistical forecast best fit. So what the system does, we say we produce two forecast value, one as a result of applying exponential smoothing, and the other one as a result of applying Croston. Which one is going to make it as the best fit? Is the one that has the lowest mean absolute percentage error. Also, in spite of his name, this is just a percentage of the error, is an average of error, and now we are going to just talk about what is an error in this case, and this is also obviously result of a formula that compare all the error, all right, for data point, and they calculate the average, and the mean absolute percentage is just a percentage of the average error. Besides all this, what is the error in our case? You're going to see and I hope I really, okay, here you go. That's what I wanted to, no, one second. Actually here. Yes, I want to come here. Now, what is an error? How is this calculated? So we know that a forecast is for the future, right? What the system does, it applies this forecast to the past data. And this is exactly the third role. It's called ex post Croston, and then you have ex post for the exponential smoothing. So if you apply the forecast to the past and you have an actual demand for that month, you have the error, because you can subtract the forecast, the value that you are predicting for the future. But if you apply in the past, in May, you know how much you consume in May, so you can see how accurate it was, that forecast. So this error is just a measurement of how accurate is the forecast. So why we do that? Why the system goes into all this? Because it will pick up that the best forecast. It will be the one with the lowest error, and that will make it will make here the final forecast. And the best fit. So the best fit, it will be the one with the lowest error. And then you have the forecast override. You think that the system didn't really picture all the situation. You have information that you want to add, and you can override. And the final statistical forecast, it will be the input in the gross demand. Let me jump back 1 second, because yes, we say that. Okay, so that's exactly the last slide. It will be the adjustment of the best fit, right? So the planner will see the forecast. The error, the good error is decided to be between 0.3 and 0.4, and as I said, and then it was said before by Casper and David, this can be adjusted in the last tab. Again, I'm here in the last tab, which is the finalized forecast. I have the input from the algorithm. I may adjust, forecast, override, and the final statistical forecast will made here as first element that form the gross demand. As we say numerous times, and we are gonna say more time, that this is only the first element. The additional demand will be the second, with equipment, the other product and service, and the entity priority project demand. And now, this made the end of the first process made by several processes. We know that, which is how the system generates the statistical forecast. So this is really the last slide, and yeah, this is time for the questions.
So if I may, Valentina and Sirius, before we go to the questions.
Yeah.
So Casper wanted to add something. I will give you the floor, but just to recap, because there's a lot of information, right? So for the screenshots and key figures that we were showing, don't worry if you didn't get everything, because you're going to perform an exercise and we're going to perform a demo as well. So we will go to the key figures one by one. For the information that Valentina shared, that there is part of it that is more statistical, right? Part of it that is more very technical. What you need really to remember is that based on the historical consumption, as Valentina said, the system is going to make a forecast for you. And this will be a base for your gross demand for the portion, as Valentina was saying, that is based on historical consumption. Now the system has two different algorithms to prepare the forecast, and then we'll choose the best one that fits better, considering error and so on, that we will show later as well. So if you like very much the statistics and the maths, you can go in more in detail. Otherwise, it's enough if you remember that the system is preparing this forecast for you, and it's going to tell you what is the best fit. So this will be done for all the products, and then if needed, you can adjust it. All right, and the rest is all a lot of background information that you need to know, because you are lucky you don't have to do this manually. Okay, Casper, you wanted to add something?
Yes, thank you, David, and thank you, Valentina, for the clear presentation and narrative. So what I just wanted to bring across is the fact that, as you've all seen, we at some stage, well, at the first stage, we do historical adjustments, then we go to classification, data cleansing, classification, and we come to the statistical forecasting. Based on the time series classification, two possible statistical forecast methods are selected, the exponential smoothing and the Croston. And the reason why we use these statistical forecasts is based on our the analysis we've done, and also how it's done in general throughout the businesses. So we have Croston and exponential smoothing selected. We do have the possibility to do more analysis on other statistical forecast methods, but we have selected these two as the best fit for our data and for the time series classification that we see. So the seasonality, of course, the intermittent and the continuous data. So that is good to know that we have selected these, and these are the best fit moving forward. There is a template for those who have already looked at all the templates that we have created for the process of gross demand, and it's called template 90. And in template 90, there are other statistical forecast methods also shown to play around with. But as mentioned by David, that's more for the people who are very much in the statistical area and expertise, for them to experiment with those and see what the best fit or the error measure is there. So just wanted to add this. Thank you, David.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Cyril, I see that there are some questions for Hans. Do you want to filter some of them? Cyril, can you hear us? You're muted.
Yes, so I'm saying I've been chatting with Suleiman. Maybe you want to voice his question about the segmentation classification between the service and product. So you've been chatting a little bit on it. Maybe he has also other aspect you want to share. Suleiman?
Yes, I understood. Thank you very much for following up on this question. But I think it's important because we are talking applying Pareto rules, and then I want to understand how importance is made. If Pareto rule makes a comparison, what is the value? It will give to service high priority because service is across the organization around 85, in some entity 100%. There is no goods. So that was my previous idea, that we focus on service through the training. It's because it's more important, especially for offices away from headquarters. But then if system does classification, and we have in the system value for service, unfortunately, at the moment, service is always with quantity 0. It's not in number of hours, whatever. And then we have goods that are in the terms of quantity, no value presented. So I am interested in how classification is made, not having value for quantity for goods, and also how prioritization is made, because if you look by value, service is always prioritization, because 15% of goods that organization buys is very little comparing with the service. So I want to understand how Pareto rule is applied and how system does comparison between different lines, considering that are represented with different figures. One is represented with quantity with no value, another one is represented with value 1, and then services represent quantity 1, and then only value at this stage. So I think explanation, we need to know how this, the way how we put for service that we will only measure by value will affect the algorithm and system that are behind.
So before giving the floor to Esato, 1 second. So Valentina, maybe you can share the screen where we were explaining that the segmentation is done at commodity level, right? So this is one of the question is related to that point that we might want to reshare again for all the class.
It will be this one, or 1 sec. Oh, I'm not sure anything. So.
And then we'll give the more technical explanation for ISA2 that will reply to the rest.
So it's this since Suli is talking about the Pareto, shall I another one?
So there was one of the slides that was mentioned. Yeah, the previous one.
This one.
Yeah. So one of the important things to keep in mind, and then of course is a tool that is the subject matter expert and Casper you want to jump in, is that the segmentation is done at commodity level, meaning that the products within the commodity would be classified based on importance, right? So if we have a commodity that is for particular services, they will be classified, but this segmentation is at the commodity level, right? Isatu, you are not muted, please.
Sorry, no, I just one thing before Isatu jumps in. This is Himanshu. Suli, we've discussed this 100 times, you and me and the team in the various meetings. You know the answer. Essentially, yes, services are the values right now. We're working with PD. We in fact had a meeting with the director PD as well to put in place a mechanism so that we can improve the quality of contracts as well as the service entry sheets so that result in quantity and value and not just zero quantity or the flip and everything, that you are aware of all the issues that exist in the services side, so that we can accurately do that. In fact, for fuel, we will be bringing quantity because there is a good quality data that exists in the EFMS system. In terms of goods also, like we've said before a few times, we've had this discussion, you were part of the decision making, Suli, that we would be bringing various different unit prices from different areas, not one size fit all. As we all know, sometimes POs are not right, or the contracts are not right, or other places. So we will be bringing through various different mechanisms as best as possible the unit price to understand the value of those goods, right? So there is no reason to think that they will not be evaluated around the same criteria. Sure, services are important. It's a known fact. Nobody denies that. It is majority of our spend, and forecasting on services is there. It needs to happen. So all of that has been considered. Now I'll let the team explain a little bit more technically how the actual segmentation will work, but it is also part of the judgment that each entity will have to make in terms of their planning and their prioritization. I don't want to discount the fact that the services are not important, but I also don't want to discount the fact that the number of goods and amount of time we spend on getting the goods is equally important. Yes, they are not high spend. They are maybe 15% of the total spend of the organization, or less for that matter. But the fact that you're dealing with all that logistics of it, storing of it, the overall quantities of it, lends itself to have enough importance and priority in an organization that you can't just ignore it. Having said that, the solution is not biased towards one or the other. It is for everything, and yes, we have to do the due diligence to cleanse the underlying data, and I'm hoping that the solution will help more further to create that transparency where we see where the data is not accurate and requires that level of cleaning. Just wanted to leave with that thought. Over to Aisha. Thank you.
Thank you, Imanshu. Like Imanshu said, we wanted to calculate segmentation based on volume. So for all services, it's only like air services that have quietly better data, like in bringing volume. And it's why also we bring fuel, because fuel we can have the volume. But as soon as we will have gradually the services done correctly, update correctly in the system, will bring the value. So segmentation can be done within commodity or within plant. So if you want, like, if you go to the planning view, you can see that either you upload the data, the PID data, so you can run segmentation and you can see, like, within the commodity, how are the PID behaving and how they are classified A, B, C, or X, Y, Z. And also you can have it within the plant without like comparing commodity A to commodity B. You can say that I want to see in my plant what are like the classification for each PID. And then just to clarify also, like ABC will be done at plant and product. So within the plant, you can compare, and within the commodity also, you can compare to get the best ABC and XYZ classification. Is that clear?
Thank you, Aisatu. Yeah, I think it's very clear. So thank you for helping. So if I may, because it's already 1 hour and 10 minutes since the moment we started, and I want to go to the demonstration, but today there is a lot of key figures to look at it. So I'm going to propose to have a 5 minutes break, because I need you to be fresh, and also now you are with segmentation here, Croston somewhere here, exponential smoothing, it's everything is in your brain. So we need like 5 minutes to settle down, and then please be back. I'm going to set a timer, right? And then we will be back after that. Valentina, you want to say something? Oh, okay. All right, so let's do a small break. There is another question from Gunmala, so maybe Gunmala, you want to say something?
It's not a question, it's just a quick comment to, first of all, acknowledge what Himanshu said. but also acknowledge what Suli asked, because while we were involved in the process of development of this solution, we gave the inputs. There was a point where we gave the input, but we never understood whether it has been adopted, what was the output, whether it is still soothing to our organization, customized enough. So I would just request that, and we forgot the sessions too, right? It has been a 2-year-long process. So just in case if there are some questions like one Suli asked, I would say not to discourage it, because it would also make our missions understand the thought process and the context, so that even if later or if they have the same question, because everybody, in fact, I would say mission is more intelligent than us because they are operating day in, day out. I think it would be useful, although I understand we are in the time constraint, but this is a critical stage where avoiding this would cost maybe more. Sorry, I don't mean anything more, but
Thank you, Gulmala. Thank you. Point taken. Don't worry. So
because many a time I'm holding myself to ask the question, but that question reoccurred to me because I am not sure when I asked last time what has happened in the system as a result of my question or as a result of our input. So, but I hold, and when when Suli asked, it just, the whole thing happened in my mind, and I said I should make this comment.
Gurmala, no worries, no question has been discouraged. I definitely would want more and more questions so that it is very well understood, and the questions have been great, no doubt about it. But at the same time, I want to assure every single person on this whole training, this is not a 1 day or 2 day process. We don't expect that you'll capture everything and understand everything in that. That's why it's designed in such a way that you go through this process of first listening and understanding what the team has to say, and then get your hands dirty over a course of next few weeks and months to go in the system and understand further so that it is retained. I do not expect that Suli, Gulmala, or anybody who sat down with us on various occasions can remember everything. It will only through practice and only through doing it, you will understand. All I will ask is to have the confidence and faith that we have done everything that we could to bring everybody's input into this system. With that patience, you will notice that most of the requirements and considerations have been accurately mapped, and those that are not, we still have the right opportunity and time. You guys are in very early stages of engaging with this system, where we're not built like the other Umoja solutions where we built and just said here it is, use it or lose it. You're part of the team which we call SVG, the Solution Validation Group, where you would be able to give constructive feedback that we could work with Umoja team and SAP team who are also on the call to hear it firsthand so that they can implement and tweak as needed. We all have same goal here. So please do not get discouraged with our comments or anything. Rather, keep asking the questions that you need to. But at the same time, let's make sure that we hear from the trainers and the experts. And then we spend our time in all the feedback sessions and all the work that we need to do to make sure that the solution is up to the par of what the expectation is. Thank you.
Thank you, Himanshu. And as you said, all questions are welcome because it also gives us the floor to explain more things and help everybody to understand. So thank you so much, Suli, for the questions.
And David, if I may, I think it's important also to recognize that we are just following what Himanshu mentioned. I think it's important to understand that we are not in ideal kind of final state, that there is a way to go, and also to highlight in which area we struggle and we might made some kind of processes that are adjusted to current state, but also to mention what kind of action is taken in the background in order that, for example, in the future, we have all these elements together, so we are not making this compromise that we are forced to do right now. Because if you do prioritization, you have one figures on quantity base and another of value. In mathematical terms, this is not something that you can compare. Actually, it's comparison of vegetable versus fruits. So
thank you.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention and even provide, as Himanshu did in his part, some kind of background information, how we are moving in order to address, so that we all feel that there is various level of organization moving towards getting this right on the end.
And thank you so much. All right, so let's go. Yeah, so summary, we are all on the same boat. So please keep on asking questions, and they are beneficial for the training as well. So we are going to do a small break. Now we are going to put only 3 minutes or 4 minutes. And please go back, come back a bit fresh, because we need to see the solution and the system as well. Okay, talk to you later. Thank you. So welcome back. This was a short break. I just spent the 4 minutes on the phone. So I hope you had a bit of time at least to drink some water. Now we're going to perform the demonstration, but I would like to clarify something that maybe after discussing with ASA2, I'm not sure if we're transferring the concept properly compared to what the solution is actually doing. And also this is related to the questions from Julie, so let me try to clarify again. So Valentina, could you please share your screen for one moment, if you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you please share your the segmentation, because we got a clarification from ISA2, who is one of the brains behind this the solution. So one of the slides about segmentation, where we put ABC, a slide on slide 4.
Oh, 4, yeah.
Yeah, on slide 4. You can remove the word commodity there, because then if we send the material, we make sure that, and we can put plant, and then I will explain. Okay, so we avoid the confusion. And then if we go basically to slide 6, that I think is very easy to understand visually, just to insist on something, right? So we don't have two understanding. The next one and then the following one. So slide 6, the next one. Yeah, this one is very it's a very good slide. So if I may have your attention, are you there? Are you back? Or it happens like when we do the breaks in person training, that everybody goes and takes 45 minutes break? Could you please confirm that you are listening and you can write something on the chat? This is only a clarification before we go to the demonstration. So as Valentina explained very well, segmentation, right? That it's used for determining the priority that will give us A, B, or C. There were different moments in the presentation that we said that the system will look at commodity level. And then there were this question about how we can compare if we are not comparing services with products. So what the system, what the solution actually does is more aligned with what Sully was mentioning, and also what some other colleagues were asking. So what the system and the solution will do is to take all the products within the plant, and this product ID will involve also services, and we'll compare. And because we have products, let's say consumption history based on quantity, and we have services based on value, we'll take the products consumption and we'll convert them into value using dollarization that we will explain later. So once we have all the services and all the products based like measured in value, in dollar value, right? It will compare and then apply this ABC segmentation at plant level. Okay, so in this way, if as you were saying, no, in my mission, services is 80%, is most of the consumption. This will help you to identify these product IDs, regardless if they come from materials or if they come from services, to identify. So it's not only at commodity level, as at a certain moment I said, I think it's at plant level, it's at your entity level, right? And the system is capable of comparing services and products because it's getting the value also for the products, thanks to the dollarization. So there is a general, let's say, analysis and a comparison at plant level. Of course, this one can be also, we can also see it at commodity level, right? When we run different templates, we might want to see this field at a certain moment. All right, I don't want to open the discussion. I just want you to remember what I'm saying, because if we open discussion again, people will get confused. So remember what I'm saying. We do it at entity level. We take all the products. If they are defined as in value, they are fine. If they are defined in quantity, the system will dollarize that to be able to compare. And then, as Valentina explained, the ones that have accumulate 70% of the impact of the value of in the entity will be classified as A. And this will help us to prioritize. All right, is that clear? Write it down, remember it, it's at entity level. All right, having said that, remember this point, and now we go to the system. So I may share a screen. Now you're very quiet, so I don't know if you came back from the coffee break or not. I hope you are back. So now I'm sharing my screen. So 1 second, I need now to unblock. So the idea now is to, after all this explanation from Valentina about segmentation and also about forecast, how is this actually seen in the system? So we will spend, like, I guess, 20 minutes on the explanation, on the demonstration, and then we can go through it together. Someone send an icon about sleeping. I hope you were kidding. So let me open the template. This, in this case, is template number 30, I think. So you know already how to open a template. So we will go to template 30 this time. It's called statistical forecasting. There is something else we want to mention about segmentation, but since it's managed from the master data, we will see it. We will see it tomorrow. I was discussing with Casper that point. We will see it maybe better tomorrow. Statistical forecasting. So what are we going to show now? It's the following attributes. I mean, you have, first of all, you have these 4 tabs below. You have statistical forecasting product sublocation, statistical forecasting product plant, commodity planet group, commodity plant. Remember, these are the planning levels. For our demonstration, we are going to show the product and plant level. So we will be displaying plant, product ID, the type of product, and the quantity. We want to filter. This is very important. Please pay attention for your exercise, because there are 4 tabs here, 5 tabs here. So it's important that when we open this template, we filter by you filter by your plant, as I'm doing, and then you copy the filter to all the other tabs. All right, we are selecting filter. We copy from product plan, is the tab where am I right now, where I am right now, and then we copy to all the other tabs. I click on copy. Hopefully you are already very familiar with this process. Now the system is loading the data, and then I will explain the different key figures that we have, that they are related to all the concepts Valentina explained. There are a number of key figures, so I need you to pay attention, and maybe you want to take note about the key figures. One of the important things from these demonstrations should be that you make sure you understand at least the attributes that you are seeing and the key figures. What is their meaning? If after the demonstration you still don't know what a key figure means, you need to raise your hand and stop me. Okay, now it's taking a bit of time. Let me see, because I already have it loaded. So in the meantime, I can show to you the layout. So what you see here is the statistical forecast at product and plant level. We have the following attributes: the plant, the product ID, time series classification. So this was a time series classification of the data we had in the past. ABC code. This is the segmentation. So the product that you are seeing right now is a B product. It's a product classified as B for this plant, right? And the following key figures. Now the system is loading now all the data. So maybe I just wait for them. Okay. So let me open the template. Okay, here we are. So this is for, now I'm the product sublocation, so I want to go to product plant. I was expecting to appear directly in a different tab. All right. So what you see here is the new template. No? Please pay attention. This is new to you. Let me hide some columns because we already have the product ID. So for every product, we have here the ABC code. We have the classification and we have these key figures. Let me go one by one through these key figures and I will be asking you if this is clear. The first key figure, it's called final cleanse history for product plant. This field here is what it came from the automatic cleansing. So this should be our historical consumption after it's cleansed. Now, one question for you. Why is this empty in the data? This is a difficult question. Let's see if someone can guess the answer. Final cleanse history. This is the output of automatic cleansing template. Why is empty? Can someone reply in the chat and then maybe Cyril, you can tell me? Question is why in this template, final cleanse history, that is supposed to be our history, why it's empty? Did we lose all the data?
No, there is already an answer from George.
Because of future data.
Yeah.
So the thing here, that's a bit tricky. That's why I'm asking you and I want you to be aware, is that right now what we are seeing in the system is a forecast. So if you see, this is the future, June, July, August 2020. So the first thing you need to remember when you access this template is that by default, you are looking forward. You are forecasting. And of course, if you are forecasting, this final cleanse history will not appear because you are looking to the future. So if you want to see the numbers in the past as well, you can edit the planning view and show a bigger period. All right, I'm going to do it only for your own understanding. Then once you get familiar to this and you get more used to the way that the solution works, you will focus on the future. But since we are coming now from auto cleansing and we are using now the forecasting tool, we want to see what happened in the past and what the solution is proposing as a future consumption. Now there is a lot of data. Maybe we focus in only one example. So let me also filter. I'm going very slow because I want you all to follow it. I hope it's not too boring. Now I want to filter by one product. So let me add an attribute and we say product ID. And then let me put this one, for example, 164532. Sorry. Okay. Siri is sending emails. I'm spoiling my my presentation.
Don't pay attention. Sorry, David. I didn't know you have the notification.
No, I'm just kidding. Just to make people laugh a bit. So okay, I'm filtering. All right. So here's what we have. Now, please pay attention. This portion of the session today is one of the most important part of the full training, right? This product in this plant is classified as C. So next time I will take an example that is an A. But okay, let's focus on this one. Cleanse history. You see, from June 2018, we have data that we already adjusted and reviewed. This pretty much looks like a time series that is continuous and there is some seasonality, as actually the system tells us. If we go to the present moment, which is now here, we see that of course for June we still don't have the data. That's why it disappeared. So final cleanse history, it's coming from the previous template. It's the data you know. Now let's see what the system is proposing for us for the future. We have two statistical forecasting models or methods that Valentina explained very well. Croston, from which I wanted to say I only remember the name, but I'm kidding. You have two statistical forecasting. One is Croston and one is called exponential smoothing. So if you see Croston and exponential smoothing are proposing some consumption for the future months. So statistical forecast exponential smoothing at product plan is proposing that during the following 24 months, this could be the consumption based on the past experience. Croston is also proposing something. Do we need to analyze and study both of them? Not necessarily, because the system, so you see this one is Croston. Croston is not giving a very good forecast because it's more appropriate for intermittent, and this one is continuous. So let's say that it's most likely that the best fit for this would be exponential smooth. So we said final cleanse history. This is coming from automatic cleansing. Then we have a statistical forecasting Croston and a statistical forecasting exponential smoothing. Actually, I'm going to kind of highlight the cells to see what we have seen. I hope I can do this. So this one we already saw it. Now I'm telling you, this one is the forecasting, Croston forecasting for the future. And this one is the forecasting done by the other method. What does the system do? What does the solution do? Compares both of them and analyze the error to select the best fit. So the system, after considering Croston and exponential smoothing, will select the best fit. The system thinks that exponential smoothing is a better model, forecasting model for the situation that we are presenting. Now I will explain how the system calculates the error, and then you can see it as well to understand how good could be this modeling. But is this clear? We have final cleanse history. It's coming from the previous template. The system generates Croston and exponential smoothing and then selects the best fit. Is this clear? I need your feedback before going ahead. And if you have any question about it, better to answer them now.
Yeah, so far clear, David.
It's clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So having said that, now without being experts on statistical models and forecasting, I could already say, based on our history, and considering this DPSMP solution, this would be our gross demand for this particular product before analyzing other aspects and other additional demand. Now, what about the error? There are other 4 key figures with very fancy names that could look very confusing, but they are not so difficult. Let's talk about how the system, let's say, measures the error, because it's very difficult. You would say, I was expecting a question from someone saying, but listen, if this is about the future, how does the system know what is the best fit? How can you possibly know what forecast fits better in the future? You cannot know that. What you can do is to know if this model would have been good to predict the past. Right? I know it's very abstract. It's like the movie Back to the Future now. No. So with this model, what the system will do is not only applying this forecasting to the future, but it also applies the forecast to the past. So if you go backwards on this exposed Croston and this exposed exponential smoothing, what the system is doing is applying the forecast, and this is something that I really like, to the past. And then comparing this forecast on the past with the past historical, with the real historical consumption, it calculates an error. And it says, how how good would be this model to predict the past? And this error is displayed in these other two key figures. There is one error for Croston, one error calculated for exponential smoothing. So if I change these colors and I use maybe, I don't know, blue for the Croston and another color for exponential smoothing, you will see like the key figures are organized in 4 blocks. What colors shall I use? Orange, maybe. So what you see in blue are the 3 key figures related to Croston. What you see in orange are the 3 key figures related to exponential smoothing.
David.
Yeah.
Yes, Eleanor Valentina, thank you for also assisting in the chat, responding. There's a question, the error measure always appear as 0. Right?
Yeah, that
so they want to understand in which case
I was going there. Yeah, it's not a 0. Okay. I was going there. So okay. Thank you. So what I was saying, now the system calculated the forecast. Then it applied the forecast, let's say it applied the model also backwards. And it calculates the error. The error is not 0. Write this down, or you will, if you don't write it down, I can guarantee you next week you will have the same question, because I just had the same question 2 hours ago. It's not 0, but the system is rounding up this. Maybe we can even change it in the template. I don't know if we could change this in the template, but yeah, it's something for Casper to think about. To see the error, you have to click on this cell. And you see the value here. This is the error. All right. This is the error for the Croston. This is the error for the exponential smoothing. Sorry, no, this one is the, sorry, I said, but this is the error backwards, and this is this there. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Right, Casper? Can you, or if you want to confirm that the error measure, it's visible on this key figure, but they have to select the cell, right?
Yes, I can confirm. Yes.
And then the fact that we have 2 fields, one in June and one in May, what was the reason for that? Okay, maybe something related to the template, or because normally when we display it from June, so we normally only see this one. Maybe this one is something else. So the error is here. Anyway, this is only for your info, because the system already is taking the best thing. Of course, they are calling now on the phone. So the error for the exponential smoothing, it's a percentage, is 0.03. The error for the Croston is 0.08. So this is a percentage. Actually, this percentage of error in the past is very good. It's too good. It's because when I mock up the data, I selected something that was very predictable. So you might even see an error percentage of 0.3, and it will be still very good for real life. So this 0.3 means that this model is predicting the past with an error of maybe 4% only, while Croston is doing it with 8% or 9%. So in this case, it's better the exponential smoothing. Okay. Now I got a bit confused because we had 2 columns there with error, but focus on present moment, right? So let me recap. When you are acting as a planner, you open template 30. When you arrive here, you can see your products, and you have a forecast for the next 24 months that is based on historical consumption and statistical analysis using these 2 methods. The system will generate the forecast for both methods, will compare this error measure to decide what is the best fit. So this line here is what you are going to bring to the gross demand, as Valentina explained. If you want to know the percentage of the error in the past, you click on the 0 or on the, I mean, if you see a 0, if you see a 1, it's because it was a very bad estimation. You see here the percentage of the error. Of course, it's not as a percentage, it's included as a factor. So the factor is 0.03, so it would be like 3.7% in the past. Is this clear? Any question or comment from Casper or Isatu? Now is a good moment. We still have 10 minutes.
Yes, as you said.
Sure, go ahead, Aista. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah. Like as you said, the error metrics are calculated by comparing the ex-post forecast to the demand history. So lowest forecast error number means the forecast profile assigned to the selection fit to the history better. So and also as you have shown, the ex-post should be for the last 12 months. I think you show it earlier.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I selected 24 months.
Yes, yes, I've seen it. Great.
All right, anything else? Cyril, is there a question or is there any question?
No, I think pretty much some comment. I think you're discussing about the rounding rules and then to increase the decimal points or completely removing even the 0.5, the proper error number and percentage. So, but yeah, those are the points that we'll take into consideration on the site. Yeah.
Start with the predicting.
So, and last question also, if you have a higher error value, what does that mean? For example, that's the forecast is not accurate, or the relative error. Yeah,
very good question. So the higher you see that's a very good question. Thank you. The higher you see the number here, the worse it would be the forecast. Let's say this is a very simplified view. The lower you see the number here, the better it is the forecast in general terms. All right, that is a very simplified, but for this first session, I think could be a good summary. But anyway, so on one hand, you have to focus on best fit, and then understanding what is the model that the system is taking. You can see the error and understand how well this forecast was predicting. Would have been predicting the past. Casper, sorry, I gave you floor 3 times and I removed the floor from you, so maybe you are already upset with me.
No, not so much upset. No, Aisata already answered the question or the topic, so thank you.
David, can I just would like to make a comment just to make a relation between what we are seeing now and what it was in the presentation. You can make actually an anticipation of what the system is going to do just looking at the time series classification. You remember we stress a lot the point that the data cleansing is done only to continuous with time series classified as continuous and non-intermittent. For the intermittent, we actually use the Croston to eliminate all the noise that this data series might have. So when you are looking at is, the forecast is run, the 2 methods are applying to the data regardless the time series classification. However, obviously the Croston is not going to be more accurate with continuous, with data that are classified continuous with seasonality. So you can actually anticipate what the system is going to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Actually, with your point, that reminds me that I wanted to show something else. I'm going to show now another product, okay? If it helps to have things clear. But very quickly, and then we'll give this last 5 minutes to questions. So I'm going to just filter by another product very quickly, because I think the idea of the demonstration or the goal of the demonstration is achieved. Even though I still have to go to the other tab. Okay, so 1 second. I'm just showing now another product that has a different, okay, this one is also continuous with seasonality. Oh, I didn't filter, no? 1 second. Okay, never mind. Actually, you will see it in the exercise, because you have to check different products, and you will see that for some of them that are intermittent, the best fit is Croston. For the other one that are continuous within seasonality or simply continuous, you will see that exponential smoothing fits better. Now, before closing the session for the final questions, I want to show to you the last tab. After this has been reviewed, if you go to the final forecast, you will see this is the information that will go to your gross demand. So you will see here, if we take any example, that you have the best fit. It's a kind of summary of the forecasting, you considering the best fit that you saw in the previous tab. And then here you have the white, again, the white cell, in case you want to, based on your demand planning experience and your knowledge, if you want to adjust something, that's also an option that the solution will give you. All right, so imagine that for some reason you know that this forecast is not complete, is not accurate, and you might want to include some values here. You can always do it, right? So you might have responsibility of the final data, and of course this is only entering the numbers as you did in the adjustment, and then save the data. All right. But the important part of the presentation and also of the exercise is reviewing the different key figures, so you understand what is the system and the solution doing it for you, and how it's making your life easier in that sense. So that was it about the demonstration. So we have still 4 minutes for the last questions, and then you will receive the exercise by email, as we did the previous days, so you can complete it. I would recommend you for this exercise, actually you are getting all the product IDs, so don't go to one, just look through all your product IDs to understand what the system, and also see how the system is projecting, and the time series is somehow similar to what happened in the past. And of course, remember, this portion of the gross demand is only the one that can be forecasted based on historical consumption. We will see tomorrow how to plan for other type of demand, the one related to projects, for example, or any other additional demand with products that are not in the past, that are not being consumed in the past. Is there any question, Cyril, about this?
No.
I will give you also the okay.
No, I think so far it's not, there's no question. I think we were discussing and also addressing a couple of questions, especially regarding the percentage of error, right? Pretty much. So what we are saying, there's no really rule for the percentage or tolerance level, pretty much. So it's just for information purpose, right? So we cannot decide or take any step based on the percentage error. Or maybe also at your entity level, you can define maybe what are the tolerance level as a flag raise, but there's not really one per se, that the system consider.
That's good information. Before giving the floor to Himanshu, I think Aisatu wanted to make some notes. Wanted to comment something, Aisatu?
Yes, Hasir said there is no percentage that we should give. It should be lower. If there is a higher percentage, it means that either we need to review the statistical forecast methodology, either we need to review the range of the data, like saying that, are we going to say that the 24 months that do not make sense? We should maybe give way to the last 6 months. So there are parameters that the planner should know and review. So we should not even go that higher. If it's high, it means that there are a lot to review. So 30, 40, it's really high. It should be lower. The lower is the best. If it's not lower, we will review parameters, we will review statistical methodology. Like you said earlier, we have another planning view that we created to let the planner play on those. We develop more statistical forecast methodologies that he can use to try to get the best error possible. Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you. So you still have 1 minute. So you might want to say, David, you are on mute.
Sorry, I was making a joke. I said, Casper, you want to say something before I give the floor to Himanshu, because he will not leave it. He will take it.
No, please go ahead, Himanshu.
Okay, over to you, Himanshu.
No, I'm glad that we're finishing on time. Maybe we will go a minute over. I think one of the points about today's session and discussion is that there's a lot to it than just the solution itself or the calculations on the solution. Sure, we will look into that. And what we want to figure out with you guys over the course of next few weeks, months, as I said in the very opening statement, is a way to make sure that we can train and teach these elements to the planners. One thing is for us to explain you how it works and what the different numbers are, but it will be up to the leadership of the entities and to the the principals of various different sections and decision makers to decide what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, where things are not according to how they want to forecast. And that's the type of stuff that needs to be understood. And we would definitely welcome feedback in what else can be done. We are also looking and working with SAP and the others to figure out what other fundamental trainings or knowledge gaining experience can be out there for people to become more sophisticated in the way they would plan using the system, as well as to understand all of these concepts in much more detail that maybe we won't be able to just capture in the modality we are working on. So that's it. That's what I'll leave you with. Please practice, look at the sessions, do ask questions. The more the merrier, and we take it from there. And thank you all for your time and patience. I'll try to find a virtual coffee next time so that some of us can be awake. I can't live without it.
So thank you, David. Just to thank you, Himanshu, as well. Please remember, feel free to contact us, Valentina, David, and myself if you have a problem. I think you will try to assist you the best we can. If you cannot, we will escalate, and you will still find a solution at the end. So.
Okay. Thank you for your patience and for being with us for 2 hours. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Thank you,
Please
guys.
share your
See you
camera
tomorrow.
when you're
Bye.
saying goodbye.
Good night.
If you are not in your pajamas or something.
See you tomorrow. Bye. Already in pajama.
Thanks, guys.
I have the pajama below the shirt, but don't tell anybody.
Bye.
Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Hi, David.
Hi, Isaac.